I'm done. I'm done.
Hey, I thought we were hitting 2 hours for sure.
Oh my gosh. There's the key. That's the behind the scenes right there. There is the key. You don't need to oversell. Once keep you know what I've found is that people are so appreciative of their time now that they've found a little bit of time that they're super super protective of their time. And if you can have what was traditionally a half an hour phone call and you can have that same phone call in 7 minutes, have the 7 minute phone call. You don't need to fill out the half an hour phone call just for the sake of filling it out. You don't. So to me, that is a perfect example where a client was selling to a traditional distributor, and the distributor was throwing himself at my client. He had bought it hook, line, and sinker before we even got on the call, and that needed to be a 17-minute phone call. It really did. Excuse me, and it ended up being an hour and 36 minutes. It was just too much.
On a happier note, your backdrop is next level today.
Bad, huh?
Instagram likes it a lot.
I'm a sun worshiper, so that's a good thing. All right, sorry everybody. Thank you for. I did want to show a little bit of that at the end of it to make that exact point. It's really important to know your audience, and it's really important to know when the phone call needs to end. That's a really important sales tactic. So please, I hope that helps one person watching. So we have a very, what I wanted to start with is we have a very interested 15-year-old watching right now. Okay. And he's a hustler. He's a very nice young man, but he's also a go-getter, and he wants to make some cash this summer. So he invested in his own lawn tractor, and he wants to go mow lawns this summer, in and around town. And he texted me yesterday and he said, hey, in exchange for a free mowing or two, would you help me kind of brainstorm how to get more clients? And I said, first of all, no, I already have 2 teenagers in the house that can do it. Your money's no good here. So that's my question to you. And I didn't want to give him my advice until I talked to you. A young hustler looking to gain more lawn mowing clients, what would be your best piece of advice for him?
So step one, obviously, is know your audience. And I wouldn't hit up people that got teenagers in the house that are tailor-made to mow lawns. 2, I think the big thing with stuff like that, like if your goal is just to be somebody's guy, mowing lawns, I think like the 2 biggest things is like, you got to just be like at least like slightly above average at it, and then you just have to be reliable. So like literally what I would do if I was him, I would go through, say Thursday or Friday and say, hey, I'm going to mow every lawn in the neighborhood for free this week. And then I would just go through and do it. And then at the end, I would say, hey, appreciate the opportunity. We have, these packages where I'm going to be coming through every week. If you want me to add you to the list, let me know. This is what we charge. So you get a chance to prove that you can just take one thing off their plate and not have them think about it. And then if you do a good job, it gets real easy to be like, all right, $20 or $50. I don't know what you charge to mow lawns these days, but $20 every week, it'll be done. You don't have to worry about it. We have all our own equipment. You don't even have to be home. You'll come home from the lake or softball practice if that becomes a thing again, and then it'll be done. But I think that's just the thing. Just do it first, and then if you can just be passable, like you're in.
I love it. Yeah. How would you communicate that to a homeowner? I know you're not supposed to put things in people's mailboxes. How would you communicate that? Would it be a sticker? Would you stick it to somebody's front door? Would you put it in their newspaper slot? How would you go to, right down Lincoln Road? I could hit easily 30 homeowners in an hour just by walking past their house. How would you communicate that with people?
I mean, when you're just starting out, I know there's a lot of things you're not supposed to do with mailboxes and door hangers and stuff like that. But like, that's kind of half the fun of being the hustler kid just trying to get going, you know? So I think literally just, hey, I'm Ben, I'm just what I'm doing, da, da, da. Like have like a quick little half sheeter that you made and then you're good. But that's the nice part about kind of putting yourself out there for free at first. It's usually a pretty easy sell when you approach anybody and you're like, hey, can I do this for you for nothing?
Yeah, one of the things I would do is I would. That's exactly the advice I would give. I'd do a flyer. I'd put my picture on the flyer so somebody knew who I was. Talk about personal branding. So when you see him walk down the road, it's like, oh, there's the kid that offered to do my lawn for free, and just pick a Saturday and say I'm going to do 10 lawns on a Saturday for free. You know, it's going to cost me my time. It's going to cost me, it's going to cost me the fuel that goes in the tractor, or even better, do it on a Monday. Do it on a Monday when nobody's, very few people are around instead of Saturday because people are doing yard work. Do it on a Monday. Take a Monday and a Tuesday, and simply say, this is what I'm going to do. Would you like to sign up for one of my 10 slots to do it for free? Here are the slots I have available, and just text me at this number to say, here's when I'd like to book that. And then, you know what, in exchange, even if you don't want to go in for the right hook afterwards and say, can you be a long-term client? Ask them, in exchange for a free lawn, ask them for a referral. Say, hey, do you know anybody here in town that might want to support a 15-year-old young man who's trying to put some money into his pocket? The other thing you can do is you can ask for recommendations. So go back. He's very meticulous. He's done my lawn. He does a great job. And that was the ask that he did for me last year was, do you mind if I take pictures of the lawn afterwards? I said, no, he did a great job. He was out there with a weed whacker. He was out there, everything. So those two things I would ask for: a referral for somebody that is in town that you could talk to, and for something else that you could put on a secondary flyer when you go over to Chard Road or you go over to another road and go to a different neighborhood.
100%. The referral thing is genius. We do that a lot here, where we started it kind of tail end of last year, where any client that refers somebody and they sign up, like that person who sent the referral, like their next month's on me. Like everybody wins. You could do something great when you're there. Like, hey, if you refer somebody to us and like they sign up, that's one free, lawn mowing for the summer.
There you go. If you could do a tiered thing. If somebody says, hey, I bring you 5 referrals, you say that is the threshold where I will mow your lawn for free the entire summer. The next 25 weeks, whatever it is, until it snows again. No, that's awesome. That is a great advice. I know he's watching. I know his mom's watching. I hope that helps. If you want me to be your first person that puts a quote on your flyer, let me know. I'd be more than happy to do it. I can speak to the character. I can speak to the family. So we can absolutely do that. So I hope that helps. Aaron, David, Dennis, Kelly, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Have you been out to eat yet? Let's go there.
No, but I want to so bad. Gosh, I can't even tell you how good I feel just like looking outside and seeing humans. It's really cool. I saw your Facebook post. I got so jealous so fast, man.
It was amazing. We went to Heritage Hill for a drink last night. Siobhan walked in and said, let's go for a little ride. So we ripped the Jeep up to Pompey, had a drink there, and then decided to come back to the Braylock just because the Braylock, we just love the Braylock. But it was just nice. It felt normal for a minute. Like you still had the face coverings on until you sit down. I still don't quite understand why you need the face covering on when you're standing, but when you're sitting, you take it off. But that's another show. But it just felt normal. The guy was strumming the guitar in the corner, and people bringing you your favorite Riesling, and it was still a limited menu, which I totally understand for restaurants. They still have to kind of do that because they don't know what their capacity is going to look like. But it brought that sense of normalcy, and that's why I snapped that picture. You know me with my selfies. I love to take selfies, but it felt like the right time to document. So 5 years from now, when we look back and be like, hey, remember our first post-COVID dining experience?
Yeah, I'm still anxiously looking forward to mine.
Where's going to be your first place?
Burger Mondays.
Of course. That's where I thought you were going on Monday.
Oh, I do. I've been pretty much every other day for the last 100 days, but to actually sit there, we're still working on some permits and stuff like that, but that will unequivocally be the first stop.
Perfect. what do you see, like literally out your front door? What do you think the majority of people are thinking? Do you think people are saying this thing's over? Are you thinking people are still staying home? What are you seeing out your front window?
I don't want to get overly cocky, but I think people are pretty much just, all right, we're back, like normal. You know what I mean? Like there's obviously like a segment of the population that's going to kind of sit on the sidelines and just wait out. But I mean, the first day of even outdoor seating, whenever that was, last Thursday, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was this week even. But like the first day of that, people were kind of timid and kind of unsure on, where they could stand and where they could sit, and like, do I have to have a covering on or not? But ever since then, like the last like 2 or 3 days, especially, like last night seemed like a normal Thursday, Friday night. People were out, people were drinking, people were having fun. I don't know what tape measure people are using for this whole 6 feet apart on the table thing, but it's different than the one I have here. But whatever, God bless you, But I just think people are over it, man. And obviously, like, the numbers are going to dictate that. Like, if there's a spike in something, and I'm sure people's mood and people's vibe will change. But I think a lot of stuff, just especially with everything that happened last week, just gathering and protest wise, just to have groups of people like that, and to see like, okay, we're still okay after that. And that was a huge gathering of people. I think a lot of people are just kind of like, okay, like, let's just get back to normal here, and like, obviously they're gonna have to watch that, but I think most people are just kind of over it.
I work with a client in Minnesota, and they asked me this question yesterday. I'll ask you the exact same thing. They are going through they started a Kickstarter 12 weeks ago. We talk about a really tough time to do a Kickstarter, right? So they took it down because of everything that's happened, because they didn't feel right asking for money. So they want to restart it again. And then this whole thing over the last 2 weeks has started on top of, the previous anxieties for what everything else is going on. Would you start a Kickstarter right now for a business or a side hustle? And if you were, what would be your message to open up a retail, to fund equipment, to fund goods, to fund services, to get a business open? What would be your message to start that right now?
Can you say what kind of business it is?
Yeah, it's a winery.
Perfect. So I think it's always the right time if you can make it contextual enough. It's Kickstarters and GoFundMes, they can be such a powerful tool, but you have to do every step of it the right way. And every step of it has to have meaning. So if you were doing a Kickstarter, let's just say, like, hypothetically, you're doing a Kickstarter to get things going from the ground up. So equipment, renovations, overhead, materials, all that stuff. What I would literally do is I would literally have your Kickstarter rewards tied to things that are relevant now. Do you know what I mean? So like, as long as that it's building up to something, which, like, for me, to have it build up to like an exclusive VIP, responsibly distanced launch party, that would make a lot of sense.
Yep.
Like we talk about it almost every week. Like, the economy was like shut down artificially. Like, it wasn't hurting. So like, people still have money. So it's not like, you're taking someone's kid's dinner off the table to try to get them to donate to this Kickstarter. Like, dollars are still out there. So if you can, and this goes back to kind of what we talked about last week, if you've spent the last 100 days branding and telling your story and bringing your audience behind the scenes with you as you navigate through the COVID shutdown and you start to plan and prepare to come out of it, then that gets way easier to do. Whereas if you're just coming out of nowhere and it's like, hey, we're starting, let's go, people are gonna be like, read the room, bro. So like, everything is so dependent and so contextual to that, I think. But as far as timing goes, it's always the right time and an acceptable time to brand and to sell if you're creating value for the people on the other end. Straight up. If people want to, kick $100 to your Kickstarter and, get their name etched on one of the first batches of wine that come out, or, get to put their name on your customer wall of fame or anything like that, and you're building excitement to that, 1,000,000%. If you're just chucking a Kickstarter up there to chuck a Kickstarter up there, you're going to have $170 there, and that's going to be it.
Well, and that's what I told them. I said, why are you doing this? Don't tell me what you're doing. Tell me why. And she said, because we're very passionate about our community. We want to be the antithesis of the people just asking for money for the sake of asking for money. She goes, and we know that people are hurting. We know that people are out of work, and we want to help combat that because small businesses comprise of 80% of the jobs in this country. We want to help contribute back to giving people potential employment opportunities. I go, record that and put it on your Kickstarter. I go, that's going to mean more than anything else to say, I need to fund these wine tanks. I need to fund these grapes. I need to fund this still. I need to fund this person. I need to fund this. Tell people what. Tell people the why. If they knew that you cared about people rioting in your community, they're in Minneapolis. They are 3 blocks from where this all went down. I go, you have razor thin margin about being tone deaf right now. 0. More than anybody else that I've talked to through this entire last 3 months. If you slip up and you give the wrong why, or you give an inauthentic why, more importantly, it's over. I said, record this conversation. And that's the hard part was I could hear the emotion in her voice. I go, that's what we need to hear. We need to hear why, and we need to hear the emotion behind your why. That will translate to people. They'll understand that they're giving to your cause, not to buy a still or a ton of grapes, because somebody they know might need a job in 18 months, and you might be the economic driver to give that person a job.
Yeah, and I think on top of that too, one of the best things, I didn't realize they were right in Minneapolis. That kind of changes things.
It was crazy.
Well, I think one of the best things that they could do, like just knowing you and knowing the kind of people that you work with, I'm making some assumptions here, but I think that they're right just as far as the kind of people this is. I think one of the best things that you could do is walk people through that with you. Be like, we're very confused. I'm very nervous. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's appropriate. Like, this is what we want to do. This is why we want to do it. I don't know if it's the right thing. I think it is. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it is. So I think that the more that they can just have that level of authenticity and that level of openness, then you're going to pull people in. And then if you put that down on paper, not on paper, but you put that down on Instagram, then that changes things, and then people can see that emotion and that heartbeat of the business that we always talk about, and then you literally have nothing to worry about after that. But that's the important part, and you have to do it over an extended period of time.
And that's the rub. That's the hard part. People don't put out content. People don't tell their story because they're afraid of what other people are going to say to them. That's what they're afraid of. That's what everybody's afraid of. Everybody's afraid of criticism. Everybody's afraid of your stuff's not good enough. Everybody's afraid of your picture sucks. You get 3 likes. Everybody's afraid of that. It's the people that can get over, that don't care about what other people think because they're doing it for all the right reasons. Those are the people that are going to win long term. Pre-pandemic, during pandemic, during racial divide and riots and everything else that's going on, and post all of this when we've all forgotten about it. Mm-hmm. It's all, you and I talk about, this is why we do this every week. This is the constant reminder for everyone to do what you do, tell the why, and document the whole process. That's the only way people can properly storytell and properly build any kind of business and get to the goals that they want to get to.
It's just building street cred, man. Like we had a bunch of people, I shouldn't say we had a very acceptable amount of people here yesterday that were responsibly distanced. And we were talking about just that, where you have to build street cred for what you say you are. Like, if I put the words good, honest marketing in my logo on the windows, and then people knew that like we were just fucking scumbags here, like that wouldn't hold any water. You know, I use you as an example all the time. Your famous line of, you know, we were a family that happened to own a distillery would never work and never mean anything if they didn't go to your Facebook page and see you guys on the lake, or see Paige going on a delivery with you to the city or stuff like that. So you backed it up. You built street cred behind what you were saying. You know, so many places say, you know, we're a different kind of marketing company. We genuinely care about our clients. You know, there's so many places. We're a family-run business. We're family operated. We have family values. But that's it. That's where it ends. The fact that you've invested that amount of time in it, and that we've invested that amount of time in it, that's where it kind of comes back. So that's exactly it. Call it branding, call it storytelling, call it content creation. There's 1,000 buzzwords that you could call it, but it's just like literally putting your money where your mouth is and showing that you are everything that you say you are. That's it.
It's just documenting the process, and it sounds easy. It's not easy because of those forces, those outside forces that we talk about all the time. But that's it. That's why we do this. We just flip on a live. We start with one question, and then we see where the conversation takes us. You know, I mean, that's the whole purpose of doing this. Kelly, Ange, Maria, Dave, Colleen, Kevin, thank you so much for watching. It's always humbling when you have one person watching. It's always humbling when you have one person that texts you when you're late for a show because you have somebody who wants to hold a 2-hour phone conversation, and they say, "Where's the show? You know, what's going on? I want to hear what you guys have to think today." So I appreciate all of those messages.
Yeah. Tina wants you to know that she's going to Heritage Hill tonight.
It is the best sunset that I've probably ever seen that did not include water. It is amazing. You can see 9 Mile Point in Oswego from Heritage Hill. It is insane. They're doing Tina, they're doing a barbecue. They're doing like a barbecue truck, like over in the if you've been there before, like over near like the farm store. I highly recommend that. They do an incredible job over there. And I also highly recommend the 20, I think they call it the 20 East beer. So that is my official recommendation for Heritage Hill.
I clearly just got to spend some more time in 315 apparently.
Keep telling you have open invitation. Oh, now that we're able to do it. Get up here. We'll go up there properly. We'll get on the boat. We'll have a cocktail cruise. We keep talking about it.
Man, bro.
So tell me about the people that. How do I want to phrase this in a decent way?
I'm excited about this one already.
Tell me about the people that hand wring. Tell me about the people that twiddle their thumbs. Tell me about the people that just can't get that kick in the pants that they need to start whatever it is that they want to start. How can you get over that? And it's hard because you and I don't have that DNA. We're just not built that way. But a lot of people are. I think the majority of people are. They don't get off the sidelines. They don't get off the couch for whatever reason. How can somebody start small, see a small bit of success to build whatever it is they want to build, to sell whatever it is they want to sell? How can people start?
That's such a hard question.
I know. That's why I asked it to you, because you're the expert.
I think the simple truth behind it is like you just have to decide that that's the most important to you. Like you're gonna feel like one of two pains every day, right? Like you're gonna feel the pain of discipline in doing it, or you're gonna feel the pain of regret because you didn't. And the latter is always the easier choice because it's less work up front. You know, and I just think that that's the thing. Like, not to beat the whole working out analogy to death, but it's the same reason the vast majority of people aren't walking around in super good shape and eating super healthy diets and all of that stuff. It's not hard. You know exactly what to do, but it's easier to eat stuff that tastes good and drink stuff that tastes good and sleep in instead of working out at 6:15 in the morning when you had a whiskey session the night before and you really, really really don't want to, but you do it anyway because you have that level of discipline. So like, I think unfortunately a lot of things, and we've talked about it a couple months ago, it's literally going to be that pain of regret. That now that we're coming out of this, I think a lot of people are going to realize how many people have passed them on the track over the last 100 days and they weren't paying attention because they've innovated, because they've changed what they do, because they've taken some of your audience, because your audience didn't hear anything for 100 days because you were dead silent. Because you convinced yourself it was okay to be dead silent because we're in a pandemic, so nobody could possibly come pay me for what they paid me for. And I think some people are going to have to touch that stove and feel that burn, which sucks. But like I was just talking with Dave about it yesterday. We have a client where it's just like, you just want to shake them. It's right in front of them, but they're like, I don't think so. And he get like, just because he's him, he's so invested in their success and he feels like responsible for it. And I'm like, listen, they're grown ass adults, dude. You can't want it more than them. So like, are they leaving stuff on the table? Yes, 100%.
Only something you can do. There's only so much you can do. And that's what's tough about it is, you can lead the horse to water. That's all you can do. I was working with a new brand in New York City, and they're getting they have these grandiose plans. And they want to take over the world, and that's all well and good. I love the aspirational thought process and business plan that they're putting together, but at the end of the day, they weren't really doing it for, I'm not going to say the right reasons. They kept trying to sell. This is how good my product is. This is how good the liquid is. This is how good my branding is. This is this. And at the end I go, what does 37-year-old Susie think about it? Sitting in Syracuse. What is Siobhan Riley, 44, in Cazenovia think about this?
Yeah.
It's tell me why she's going to enjoy it, why she should pick up that box as opposed to the 20 other boxes over here. And the team, we were on a conference call, and the team was like, "Oh, well, we never thought about it like that." Like, every decision that you make, if your demo is Susie, 37-year-old Susie in Syracuse, every single decision you make, every single post, every single picture, every single everything needs to be in her shoes. What do I want to see on the other side of this phone that's going to lead me to your brand? When I get to the point where the equal exchange of money with brand or service is equal in my mind, that's the only thing that matters. You have to put yourself in your customer's shoes first.
Yeah, as a business, it's not about you.
Right.
Who cares what you want? Fucking nobody. Like, you're asking them to give you their money. Like, that's the important part. Like, you have to be on their level and speak their language and be on their platform. Like, if you're selling to kids and like you got to sell them like through TikTok dancing, like, guess what, dude? Like, start stretching, because like you're gonna have to figure out how to do these TikTok dances. Like, it's just it's easy for us because we live in it and like we see it every day, right? So like I'm very emotional. I'm very unattached to what we do and how we do it. The day Facebook and Instagram stop making sense, we'll do something else. But it's weird, especially, I don't want to make it an age thing, but I think generationally you see a gap there because, my parents' generation especially, they never had that freedom. They never had that choice. They had to watch whatever commercials the TV put in front of them. They had to see whatever ads were in the newspaper because that was the only way you could get news. They had to deal with it that way. So I think a lot of business owners from that generation, that's just their DNA. So they assume that's how it still works. So that's how they try to market their stuff. And it just doesn't land anymore because everybody, somewhere in between our age and under have never had to deal with that. Like, I'm the last generation that had to watch commercials where you literally have 6 minutes where you have to go do everything and then sprint back to the couch, or you're going to miss 45 seconds that you're not going to be able to go rewind on Netflix. And it's just not enough people understand that. And it's only getting worse. Like, my goddaughter's 10. Like, I don't even want to think how I'm going to have to market to that generation like 10 years from now. Goodness gracious. Girl's never seen a commercial in her life. But I know that's reality. I know that that's what we're going to have to prepare for here. And we have to find a way to prepare all of our clients for it too. And you're getting to a point where like, it seems like more and more every day, one more person who was that old way of thinking is kind of being like, fuck, I got to change this, which is cool. Like good for them. And it's going to be better to do it now than 40 days from now or 2 years from now or 9 years from now. But it's just gotta happen. It does. You know?
No other option. There is no other option. Who in your community is doing it well? Who in your community have you seen that has been innovative and is thriving through this? I have an example, if you can't think of one off the top of your head, but who's doing it well in your neighborhood?
So I'm gonna exclude all of our KBL clients. Obviously,
yep.
I don't know that guy. But I mean, dude, there's so many. Like I'm looking at my friends Alex and Amelia are right outside, and those guys innovated like crazy before all of this stuff hit. You know, where they put together he literally does it because he's like a heavy design and printing and branding guy too. So he literally designed like the Strange Brew care package and got new packaging where it looked like a care package, and he put the big red and white like cross sticker on it, and they went crazy. And he integrated that into his app that has online ordering, that then led to an expanded delivery radius. So he had everything. Like going back, he looked, you know, it's not fun for him to take, you know, spend money on new packaging, train your staff on how to put together this new packaging, you know, slap a sticker on it. He's adding to his process. No business owner wants to add obstacles to their process and make things more difficult, but he's super smart. He realizes it's not what Strange Brew wants, it's what his Strange Brew customers want. And they want to be able to feed 2 people, 4 people, 6 people easy. They want it brought to them so they don't have to leave. And they want something that makes them feel good. So guess what? You put together a care package that has sandwiches and mac and cheese in it. There's nobody that during shutdown in March and April wouldn't want that. And they crushed it. And then you have other people that have the same photos of their menu items plated on their dining room table in the restaurant and nothing. But yeah, anybody. Is your Wi-Fi going?
I think it might be.
Looks like it. At least
Hang on 1 second.
This is what you get.
I might have to run it inside. Yeah, there's only 17 devices going right now.
It's going to be a heavy Wi-Fi summer in the Riley household, you guys. A lot of movement.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Thanks for hanging out, buddy.
All right, hang on.
This looks way more familiar.
I know. I think my computer overheated.
I was gonna summer out there, bro.
Whoops. I probably lost my Facebook Live, didn't
I? For a second, but you're back now.
All right, is it back on? Yeah. Whoops. All right, don't put your MacBook in the blazing sun when you're trying to do a show. That's all right. You can edit that out, right?
Can I? Yes. Will I? No.
No. All right. So on my end, the business I would highlight is right here in Cazenovia. It's Dave's Diner, right down the road. And the reason they've been really successful, you know, and success is defined in different ways. I understand that. But he was the guy that he probably had maybe 75 seats in his restaurant in the morning. He would do like a morning and lunch rush. He would do a really good job. And obviously, he could not let anybody into his restaurant. So what did he do? He either rented or bought like an old barbecue truck, and he parked it. He went to the Village, and he parked it in his parking lot. He goes, "Hey, can I do this?" They're like, "I'm sure they gave him, because it's, I'm sure they gave him some kind of garbage." But my point is, he figured it out. He went right to the mayor. He went right to the town the village council and said, "What do I have to do to make this work?" So he settled into this incredible plan. So on Thursdays he does taco and burrito truck. He does his homemade tacos, homemade burritos, like ice cream style, out the front door. Order ahead of time, pick it up. Here's my credit card, all this stuff. So he does that, and he just picks it up and just takes it. The food's good. So Fridays he does a rotating menu. Like the last 2 weeks, he did real Maine lobster rolls. So like real fresh lobsters from Maine, puts it into an overstuffed roll, fresh homemade roll, and just crushes that. Then on Saturday mornings, he does pre-order donuts from Harrison Bakery in Cazenovia, or in Syracuse, which is like the best donuts of all time. So he'll get up at like 4 a.m. on a Saturday, go to Harrison, get 40 dozen donuts, bring them back to Cazenovia, and you see everybody in town walking up to his restaurant, and they installed a to-go window, and that's just what he did. So my point is, he knew that he was going to get punched in the mouth like everybody else. He did something about it, and here's the other punchline for me is he goes on to closed Facebook groups. He posts his menus, community groups, like Cazenove community groups, and goes, "Here's what's going on. Text me, call in. Here's my other thing." Then he took it a step further last week. He started individually texting people that he knew were community, had a loud voice in the community. So he texted me and he goes, "Hey, would you mind sharing this on your personal Facebook page?" And I did. I said, "Here's a guy that's really hustling his face off, trying to support his family, and here's his menu for the week." It's been incredible to watch.
Dude, it's super cool. I love shit like that. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's cool. I think in a weird way, like if you kind of have like the business owner, like entrepreneurial DNA, you're like kind of masochistic in a way where you almost crave stuff like this, where you like have these just gigantic problems that you have to figure out. Right. And you have to figure out, what am I going to change? How am I going to make money? Like, how am I going to do this? And like, I say that after you figure it out and like you feel good, but like obviously like it really, really sucks on the front end. But stuff like that's super cool. Like we have a couple of businesses in town that like literally built an inflatable drive-in movie theater in the back parking lot of a building that they own. And then that way you have a way to kind of safely get people kind of in a tight area. And then you could almost do like car side ordering, like old school way of operating. Like I saw they just posted pictures of it last night. I thought it was so fucking cool to see. But like, that's the kind of stuff, like the people that are winning are building inflatable drive-in movie theaters. Like you can't even change your menu, dude. Like, what's going on?
Yep. All right, last call for questions. I know we started late. That was my fault. Last call for questions on Facebook, Instagram. Thanks again. These continue to be incredible for us. Just to put it on our calendar and just for the most part hold to it. It wouldn't be an Adam and Ben lunch with Adam and Ben without technical difficulties. So sorry about that. I fried my computer, so that's always a good thing. My last question to you is this: What industry? What's the next industry to get knocked on its ass? Which industry is going to be was teetering before this, and how is this? All of this, everybody's buying. I've been saying this for 3 months. Everybody's buying habits are changing right before our eyes right now, and they're going to continue to change. If you can't get something texted to a company and get it delivered to your door, it may not survive after this. what industry is perilous at best right now?
I think anything that mildly inconveniences the end customer. You know, like we talked about like movie theaters when everything first happened. You know, in a lot of ways, it's shocking to me in a lot of ways that they even still exist. When you just look at like the practicality of it in 2020, like with the technology that we have, like it just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, and I think that like that's like the one thing that's been a big takeaway of the last 106 days or however long it's been, is there's so much stuff that we do and we've always done because we felt like we have to. Like we've always, you know, paid rent for office space in downtown high foot traffic areas because we thought we had to, and we thought we had to have all our employees under one roof so that, you know, we can coach them and we can monitor them and we can, you know, support them and all that. The last 100 days have shown that you don't need that. You don't need to go to a movie theater. You don't need to do like so much of this stuff.
Yep.
So I think just looking at stuff like that, I think it's going to be a huge, huge wake up call. And then, I mean, obviously, if you look at anything that revolves around big offices, like Twitter basically said, hey, you can work from home forever. New company policy, not just COVID. Dope. So like, if more people follow that route, like if you have like an office cleaning business, you're in trouble. You know, if you're an IT and managed technology services company, we got to start thinking about that. We might not have the office of 80 people with 80 computers networked in the basement anymore. It might be like, are we going to have a service offering that's going to be made for that? You know, so many things like that, I think, where I think this is just, if we talk about, you know, trimming the fat all the time, the bottom 20% of stuff, like, I just think that this is going to illustrate so much stuff that we don't need that we thought we did. And if your business is tied to any one of those things, I would start thinking 2 months ago on how I'm going to change that.
I've been thinking about this a lot. If I'm in the commercial real estate industry, I am completely shaking in my boots right now. If I am in the commercial real estate industry, I am looking to get into residential as fast as humanly possible. And if I'm in residential construction, here's what I'm doing. It's no longer the man cave. It is the home. It is the home workspace in the basement now. That is what I'm doing. If I'm in the technology space, I am looking at how I can wire things into that basement. If I'm in the streaming space, if I'm in the gaming space, if I'm whatever space I'm in, I'm looking at everybody's basement. You know, they're building new homes now with Amazon doors. I don't know if you knew this. They're building double doors on new homes just for Amazon packages that are going into that front door. So if I'm a home builder or I'm a commercial builder, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm also here. This is going to sound crazy. I'm also building a pad on my house or around my house for Amazon drone delivery. That is what I'm doing. Because it is going to happen, because when they just plop that brand new warehouse into Syracuse, that new Amazon,
It's going to be huge.
Guess why they picked Syracuse? They picked Syracuse because that drone corridor between Rome and Syracuse, which is a real thing and has been a real thing for 8 years, they're going to start 45-minute drone delivery service in an hour radius around Syracuse. So that is happening too. So it's just, you didn't have to read the tea leaves to know that Amazon was coming to Syracuse. You didn't need to know that. They've been building this drone corridor for 8 years. I'm like, yeah, Amazon's coming. I knew that 6 years ago. Just think logically about this stuff. Think about where it's going to go. And you say it all the time. It's the 80-20. It's the 80-20 is pay your bills with the 80, forecast with the 20. Try something else. If I'm in commercial, if I'm in commercial real estate, I'm looking at potentially partnering with other. I'm looking to partner with potential. Can you imagine? You own 100 properties, commercial real estate. That goes down to 20. Let's just say that. But if I spent my 20 extra percent over here, partnering with a managed IT firm to wire home offices with hardware, Wi-Fi, fiber, all this stuff. If I could become a complete services for a home office, that is a real thing, and that is how you're going to survive in your business
In perpetuity. That's just what's going on. You know, like it's so tough because it's the same. We talk about it all the time. Like shit's just changing so fast, so often that like if you're not doing that, like okay.
You have to think outside the box. You need to look for other revenue extensions. No matter what you're doing, you need to look for other revenue extensions. If I'm just going to be the beverage guy, I'm going to run out of beverage at some point. I'm not just the beverage guy. I have a very diversified portfolio that if one industry drops off the cliff, I'm still feeding my family. If you own a digital marketing agency and you're not investing in TikTok and you're not investing in your 10-year-old niece of what she's going to be consuming in the next 84 months, you're not going to be there in 5 years. You're gone.
Mm-hmm. Probably quicker in our industry. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, exactly right. Probably quicker. So, I mean, it's the same. And that's the reason it's so frustrating. It's always the same thing. It's always the same thing. It's just the platforms and the way you get checks in may change. I get that. Change is scary, but you have to evolve or you're going to be sitting at home. That period, end of story.
The guy that made horseshoes for a living was crushing it until Henry Ford showed up. And he retired early.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Eric, thanks for joining us. Everybody, it's been, sorry for the technical difficulties. A little bit odd stream today, but it wouldn't be us if it wasn't a little bit odd, right? So thank you for everything.
I just like that we constantly change up the technical difficulties. It's never the same problem. That's my favorite part about it.
Let's see what technical difficulties we can come up with today.
Oh, we're gonna really step our game up.
That's it. All right, ping us anytime offline. We're humbled that you join us live. If you're watching this on YouTube later on, thank you for watching it on YouTube later on. We appreciate your attention and ask us questions anytime. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Dope sauce, kid. Boom.
All right. That's literally what happened. My computer got fried. All right, so can't do that unless I have a tent up later. Everything else well?
Just get you a little umbrella. Call it a day.
That's exactly what I need.
Dude,
I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead. Stop recording.